All right, guys, welcome to the first SWSD Career Compass with our first speaker, Isaac Doss. The goal of Career Compass is to connect Southwest graduates with current students to provide mentorship through a speaker series. We're going to focus on all things higher education, so technical school, future careers, and college. And so Isaac is a freshman at Princeton University. You just heard he's a graduate from 2024. He was a QuestBridge NCM recipient and a Gates Scholar. He'll be hopefully graduating from Princeton in 2028. So he's going to talk today about the college admission process from his perspective, what life is like at Princeton, how his transition has been into Princeton University. He has a lot of questions that he's going to answer that were submitted to him through your CCR classes. And so just want to welcome you, Isaac. The attendees who are here, most of them are going to be classrooms of students, right? And we discussed that earlier. So thank you, all those of you who have joined us. And there is a way for your teachers to submit questions in the question and answer button, but also Isaac has a list of questions that he'll get to through the presentation. But thank you so much for joining us, Isaac, and I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Mr. Irby. And first of all, I want to say I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you all today. I think it's really awesome, this kind of idea of getting mentorship and stuff like through like this Zoom format. So yeah, I just want to say thank you guys, and I really appreciate it. And I guess without further ado, let's get into it. So a little bit about me is that, well, as Mr. Irby said, I'm a freshman at Princeton University right now, graduated a year ago. And then right now I'm kind of leaning towards neuroscience on the pre-med track. Also thinking about like molecular biology or maybe chemistry. So that's why the question mark is there. And also I kind of wanted to stress this that, and especially for you juniors and seniors, that you aren't supposed to have like all of this stuff figured out. And that if you look at someone else and you think, man, they've got all of that stuff figured out, they know what they're doing with their life, and I'm just, kind of doing whatever. I definitely want to stress to you guys that that's not the case, and that like our life trajectories and like all the things that we think are definitely like constantly in flux. Also going along with that is a lot of the time I thought I kind of had this vision of myself that, oh, I can't go to an Ivy League university, or I can't do this or that, or any of that. And I was like also, a freshman in high school thinking like, oh my gosh, look at all these people above me doing crazy things. How am I ever going to be able to do any of that? And I guess like the biggest message of all of this is to kind of say that like you are capable of anything that you want to do. And it kind of just comes down, in my opinion, like just to your mindset and like the choices that you make. And then at the end of the day, you can be happy with that. So definitely like I was once, in your guys' shoes, thinking about all this crazy stuff with college admissions and feeling so intimidated. But I definitely want to like emphasize too that it all works out, no matter what. Okay. And yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about. Like the whole mindset thing is I'm a really big, I don't know, I like positive thinking. I think that it's helpful whenever you think of challenges and obstacles as opportunities. Um, and that was like a big thing, not only with like trying to get into Princeton, but once I'm here, like how will I try to, succeed here, and how do I keep up here? Has been a really big tool for me. So I thought I would just share that with you. And like, of course, take it with a grain of salt because I'm me and you're you. And there's a whole bunch of different things that kind of go into who we are. But that's just a little piece of what I think. Definitely that you can do a lot more than you think. Definitely that there will be challenges, but at the end of the day, like it all will work out. And if you kind of have that faith, that confidence in yourself, then, whatever you face, you realize it's just college admissions, which maybe it does sound, it's pretty intimidating because like, oh my gosh, this is the next 4 years of your life. But if you actually look at a lot of data, even like for medical schools or graduate schools, but also just in terms of employment, where you go for undergrad isn't necessarily the most important thing. It kind of matters above all, like who are you, despite your circumstances, what is it that you do? Because I think someone that really wants to be a doctor, for example, they'll do that whether they go to like, Harvard, or they go to, community college, or they go somewhere in between, or, so that will always be there for you. So don't think too hard about it. And then finally, I think a big thing that was also for me is thinking about comparing yourself to others. And I kind of hinted at this in the beginning, but you look at other people and it can be in any endeavor in life, academic, in the gym, in term like how good of, I don't know, a rider you are. You always are looking to someone else. Think, man, they've got it figured out. They're so much smarter than me, faster than me, stronger than me, whatever. But here's the secret. Secret is that I think that that person also has someone that they look at and they think, man, I wish I was like that. So kind of trying to be content with yourself, who you are, that can go a long way. I definitely agree. And just, trying to focus on the little things, getting a little bit better every day type of thing. And there's like a word for that. It's very common, especially not only like in general in life, but especially like at colleges, you kind of look at other people and think, oh wow, I'm not meant to be here. I'm kind of this imposter kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to learn more about that, Google imposter syndrome. There's a lot of good stuff there. Okay, so the biggest thing that I saw from all of your questions was mainly talking about college admissions. So here's kind of like the long and short of it. And obviously, this doesn't encompass a lot of the things that go into this process, but I think in general, you can kind of take these things as like the most important stuff. But this is again just my opinion. So first is like what I kind of said before, like the believing in yourself part of it, because whatever you're kind of, because you will get rejected from colleges. I got rejected from a ton of colleges. And you kind of have to take that not as a reflection of who you are, of how smart you are, or anything like that, but more, it's just like it's how it can be sometimes. This process is not perfect. Harvard doesn't choose the like top 100 kids or whatever, like exactly, and there's no like, quantitative metric for that. Um, so it's not as if it's a perfect system. So definitely keeping yourself strong through rejection is a big part of it. Next is thinking about your GPA and your test scores. And I got like a lot of questions like, oh, what was your GPA in high school? What was your SAT in high school? Um, and now I grant that that is very, like, that is important. That's something that can honestly make or break your application. That's a fact. If you have, um, let's say like you don't test very well, but you have a very high GPA, that's going to play a big factor for colleges. Um, but for the most part, that's something that yes is in your control, but is not very like special about the college admission system because, excuse me, you guys have been doing school for like what, 10, 11, 12 years now. So now it's kind of about what is it about this process that can amplify my chances, like the novel stuff with that. And the biggest thing I think is thinking about essays and portraying who you are to the admissions office. And like the exercise that I like to do with this is thinking, if I'm at admissions or an interviewer or someone that is like offering a spot to some institution, what can I not know about you? What is so important about you that you can't not let these people know about it? And so then that will kind of bring you to a few core attributes about yourself, few core, you know, stick fat, like spikes, so to say, about yourself. And that's what needs to shine through, especially in your essays. And honestly, in your whole application is kind of tied to this ethos of, who are you and what are you going to do and what's kind of your goal in that. So yes, we have that. And then finally, or not finally, another big thing about this process is curating where you apply to. So in general, we kind of talk about three main categories for schools. We can think about target schools, which are schools that you think your like GPA test scores, kind of competitiveness of your admission profile, where that lands you. You have dream schools, which are kind of like, it's kind of a stretch because, maybe they expect a higher SAT or they expect a certain number of extracurricular activities, etc. And then you have your reach, or sorry, that's hard. Then you have your reach schools, which are what I said before, um, kind of like the dream aspect. And then the one that I didn't include is a safety school, And those are schools that you're going to get into, and that that you will, have the choice of admission there. But they are probably not going to be schools that you're absolutely in love with. So yeah, a little bit of a typo there, but that's okay. So once you have that list, I would recommend like about 3 to 4 schools, and make sure that these are all schools that you would want to go to and that you're okay with going to. Because the last kind of thing you want to do is, you know, it gets down to where all your applications are done and you have the choice between like a few schools, but you're not really excited to go to any of them. And that can be hard. So definitely doing your research early and thinking about where can you see yourself in the next 4 years. Okay. Um, Also the thing is that it is a very stressful process. Like it isn't going to be necessarily a cakewalk, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. So definitely thinking about where you are and thinking about, okay, these are my goals. This is where I would like to get into. And then go after that with all that you have. And at the end, if it ends in a rejection, yes, like mourn that, be grieve that. But what you became in the process of doing that, what you learned, those skills that you developed, that stuff is really going to help you, not just for college admissions, but in applying to grad school or, obviously in the job search, because that's also kind of like this admissions process at a different light. And then finally, I know a lot of finallys, try to don't try to compare yourself to what you see online. So a lot of like TikToks and YouTube videos, and if you really are thinking about, oh, I want to go to this very high college, you're probably looking at like YouTube videos that are like how to get into blah 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 university. But I promise you guys that is not how insanely smart that these people portray themselves online. I guarantee you it's not how it is in real life. So definitely don't be intimidated by that, and shoot your shot because you're here for a reason. Um, Okay, and then another thing is thinking that I saw that really came up with all of these questions was thinking about money and like financial wellness in college. So, and I kind of echo Mr. Johnson's advice on this, is that think of college as an investment in yourself. So if you have kind of these aspirations of going to medical school, for example, you're going to need to make that investment to go to college. However, if you're maybe focused on, you know, going into a trade or doing something else, something with a certificate maybe, because Southwest has a lot of those great programs that can really get you a lot of money and you can live a very nice life. And it's not as if, if you don't go to college, you'll end up homeless or on the street or something. So definitely think about like all of your options and think about kind of, okay, where do I see myself in 4 years? What would I like to be doing type of thing. And yeah, like college doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go into debt. And the way that I got my scholarship is by applying early. And that's that second sub bullet point there is if you apply early, a lot of the times you can qualify for like school specific scholarships. So that can involve things like a dean's list scholarship, or I think it's like, I think UT Austin calls it the 40 acres scholarship or something similar. But this necessitates that you kind of get on it early so that you can qualify for these opportunities. And then it's kind of the same process of like shooting your shot, putting in your application. But besides that, there's a lot of other scholarships that are available online. And a great resource that I recommend for this is the San Antonio Area Foundation. They have a giant list of scholarships. I think there's a spreadsheet out there that just has all the different scholarships that they have and offer. And this isn't just for you rising juniors. This is for freshmen and sophomores as well. So definitely something that you should take advantage of and start looking into. And think about like what it is you want to do uh, in terms of like finding different scholarships because they're out there, and you just kind of have to look, and doing online research is a big part of that. Um, and then finally, whenever you're picking a college, if you're in between two places and one of them is making you pay like 100 grand a year and the other one is making you pay like 10 grand a year, uh, even if that 100 grand a year college is Harvard, I feel you should always go with the lower money because debt is real, and that can definitely impact you as you move on in your life, because that's just like, and that's just more bills, more money for you. Um, and especially if you have if you're planning on going to graduate school or like med school or something like that. So I think that definitely plays a big part of it. That's just kind of advice that I've heard, as well as that, the money does matter quite a bit. Okay. And then another thing that I was asked quite a bit about was how like I study and how I try to go about learning things. Um, a big thing here is like I am really not that smart, guys. Like I'm really not that smart. I've gotten like really lucky in a lot of things. And then also, I think one thing that I am okay at is learning actively. And I've gotten a lot better at this now that I'm at Princeton. But kind of going through things like going through the motions in your classwork, in your schoolwork, preparing for exams type of thing, that can get you like pretty decently far. But if you kind of focus on embracing the difficulty in learning, like whenever you come across things or you're learning this physics concept, like, man, this makes no sense to me whatsoever, still sitting with it and attempting to do it, even though you have no idea what you're doing, that's really important. Because it's in those moments that you grow. And I kind of like I liken it to working out. That's why I kind of have this guy stretching to go run. Is that same voice that's in your head that's like, I don't want to do this whenever you're running. It's that same voice that happens whenever you're encountering something novel, something difficult in your class and your coursework. Um, so definitely like taking that hat on and then kind of sitting with it, adjusting to it, seeing how best you can progress. And there's some tools that can help you with that. So first of all, there's this thing called the Feynman technique. It's named after this physicist named Richard Feynman, who was just this really great teacher and talked a lot about learning. And basically the core concept is you learn something. So like let's say I'm reading my world history textbook and then you try to explain that to another person. So I might go to my dog or I might go to my parents and like just talk to them about the Mongol Empire or whatever. So, and the reason that that works is because it's solidifying the connections in your brain by like rephrasing things into your own words, because we can rotely memorize things, but in order to have like cohesive, fluid knowledge of something, to be able to apply it, like solving problems, that requires you to kind of have it in your own language in your brain. So that's tying into the second sub bullet point. Thinking about note making as opposed to note taking. So a lot of times we can take notes, but this is just kind of saying what the teacher says. And I'm guilty of that. And like all of us are, is like we're getting lectured at. And then we kind of just write, oh, okay, A is to B is X is to Y, blah, 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 blah. But if you kind of rephrase it into your own way of thinking, that's going to do a lot for your studying, for your memory, one, but two, for your ability to problem solve. Because on the test, it's not going to be A is to B as X is to Y or whatever it is. So definitely putting things in your own words when learning is very huge. And then yeah, avoiding completion mode. Like oftentimes we can kind of do things just to say, oh, I ticked it off the to-do list. But every time you sit down to like start a homework assignment or start studying for an exam, think about, why am I doing this? Like, what is driving me to do this? I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this homework. Why do I want to do it? And so rephrasing that kind of in your brain, great idea, I feel like, because then you kind of get into a positive attitude about it. It's like, oh man, like I want to learn this physics. This is pretty cool. Like I feel pretty smart doing this. I like doing that. I can see myself doing that. So that's definitely a big part of it, is embracing that difficulty that comes with completing something and really doing it to the best of your ability, not necessarily to tick off the box in your to-do list. Okay. And then finally, here's just a little bit about my transition to college. So first of all, it's hard. Like college is hard. Um, and the adjustment from Southwest High School can definitely be a lot, but it's really not impossible. I guarantee you guys, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's definitely not impossible for you to go from high school education to doing stuff at the college level. Um, Now that doesn't mean it won't be like that doesn't mean it'll be easy, but definitely like believe in yourself that this is something that you can do. And for me personally, that ended up being in the form of kind of rethinking my mindset when it comes to like how I was saying with work. It's like this is something I want to do, not something I have to do. Or thinking that I'm kind of here for a reason. Like this is what I was given to do. This work, this this task, it's for my future. It's for like all the people in my life, type of thing. So definitely that's a big part of it. Also, like your classes right now are opportunities to see how you can do at the college level. Like, the on-ramps classes, the dual credit classes, these are not, easy classes by any means. So definitely take it with, okay, I'm going to challenge myself with this college level coursework, and I'm just going to try to get a little bit better at it, a little bit better at it every day, every day. So that's a big part of it. Kind of having that belief in yourself, like, oh, okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I will get there. So, and that kind of had a lot to do with me finding my sort of place within all this, at Princeton, because I felt at first when I got here, I was like, man, everyone is so much smarter than me here. What am I gonna do? And then I guarantee you, like all of us will experience that at some point in our lives. So, kind of allowing us to take a step back and realize, okay, it's all going to be okay. I'm going to find my place. I'm going to find my friend group. I'm going to be able to adjust to my classes. I'm going to be able to, get where I want to go. That really kind of puts your mind at ease. It's like, okay, like let's go do it. I'm excited about it. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my piece, what I had to say. Um, and so now, Mr. Irby, I'll ask you if you want to kind of ask any burning questions, from the audience. Yeah.
Hey guys, so real quick, I wanted to say thank you to Isaac for being here and doing this for y'all. Mentorship's important. Understanding like the pathway to do things is important. I think it's really impactful you're sharing that. Um, and as teachers, you think like, oh, my teacher's here to teach me, but we truthfully learn a lot from y'all. And I know Isaac was somebody who I learned a lot from having him in my class, and that's why I wanted to bring him back to speak with you and share some of his mindset on what's made him successful, right? So thank you, Isaac. We've got a few questions in the question and answer tab at the bottom. So you can go and stop sharing and you can take a look at those. And then if there's any other questions, we have whole classes here and some individual students. If y'all want to put those in the question and answer section. Otherwise, we'll go through those four and then we'll take a look at some of the ones that were submitted through CCR, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks, Isaac.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Nick says, how do I balance dealing with schoolwork and my social life must be crazy? Um, I'll say that like a lot of the times that doesn't really happen. I like, and oftentimes like sleep gets lost in that. So I think finding that balance where you work until like I would usually just try to stop working at like 6 or 7 and then like relax and have fun and go out on Fridays. Because it's like your process and becoming like who you are. It's not just like work, 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 work. Because one, that's like not fun at all and you'll hate your life. But two, you actually perform better when you're like in a good headspace. So hanging out with friends, definitely important. Scheduling time for that. And at a certain point, like you know yourself, you know when you need a break. So um that definitely plays a part in it. Okay. Um, all right. And then I have another one. Here we go. Have I ever felt that the material for a class was too much? Are there any topics in the course that didn't immediately click? If so, how did you go about challenging those obstacles? Yes, every day. Definitely how it can go. Um, oh wow, it left. Oh wait. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so definitely that is how a lot of lectures are because you sit down and you're like, man, I think I'm ready for this. I did some reading from the textbook. But then they start talking about something completely different, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do here. So, kind of still like staying engaged with it, not kind of checking out and playing 2048 in lecture is definitely great. Um, so go through that and like just allow yourself to soak in as much as you can. And it's not going to immediately click, but that's when you go back. And I recommend going back to the lecture like within 24 hours after that challenging lecture, because that is like the prime time for you to solidify knowledge in your mind. And that's cognitive science. Like that's scientifically proven. So definitely go back soon after the lecture, review your notes, make new notes, rephrase things in your own words. And then it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then you can problem solve, and then you can do more practice problems, harder practice problems. So definitely that is how it can go. It doesn't immediately click in a lot of situations, but you just kind of have to sit with it. Um, was I ever feeling extremely unmotivated? And if so, how did I deal with it? That happens a lot too. And I mean, just last week, I was like, man, I came out of my lab after staying for like a long time, but everyone else left before me. Um, and like that sucks. That can be challenging, but kind of recognizing that, okay, this too shall pass. Like this, what I'm experiencing right now, it's not like the end all be all for me. Um, so I definitely like have the ability to kind of bounce back from that adversity. And then there's a kind of a program you can listen to. Like you kind of set when you know you're not feeling good, like take a break, listen to some good music, go for a walk, and like pretty soon enough you'll notice, get some food, that always helps. Pretty soon you'll feel like, okay, you know what, I'm back, I'm ready to do it. And keeping that positive mindset and you know, not listening to the voice in your head is like, man, dude, you suck, dude. You can't even do this lab. Like, what's wrong with you? So that's a really big part of it. Is Princeton my grad school? Am I planning to go anywhere else? Princeton's for my undergrad right now, so I just got out of high school, and then I want to go to like medical school right now. So we'll see where and or if that happens. Yeah. Okay. What are some new habits that I've developed going into college? Uh, okay. I would say, hmm, I would say going to bed and waking up at the same time every day is definitely like that helps me a lot. Because like once you get on that schedule, you actually feel so much more refreshed than like if you go to bed at variable times. So that's a big one. Also like in terms of academics, I started making more flashcards for things. So kind of rephrasing your own notes in your own words, making flashcards, then just reviewing those flashcards. Like whenever you have time, like you could be waiting in the lines. Like, oh, let me just do some flashcards real quick. Um, that definitely helped me a lot. Keeping those things solid in my memory. Uh, and then finally, I guess the biggest habit change was like kind of that positive thinking stuff that I was talking about is more so believing that, oh, okay, hey, I can do this. This isn't not within my grasp. And like I've kind of gotten to where I like before coming to college, I thought like, man, I can't do all that. I can't learn like hard calculus or hard physics or whatever. But I think being here has really made me realize, oh, okay, hey, I can do it. If other people can do it, then I can do it. So that's probably the biggest habit. Yeah. Okay. Um, so those are all the ones from the chats. I will go ahead and look at the spreadsheet that we have here. So let's see, what's an interesting question? Um, let's see.
I actually have one here from your brother,
Oh,
Isaac. It says,
for
have you
sure.
met Dr. House? And if you have, how was he?
Oh, that was I have not met Dr. House, but I think I will see him in the future sometime. Definitely. I hear he's around Princeton, Plainsboro. So yeah, I look forward to meeting him. Uh, yeah, no. So yeah, that was the show I used to watch like a lot. But yeah, that's pretty funny. But he like the show is set in Princeton, so it's like kind of cool. Yeah, that I'm here now.
I had a question that I had read about. So they talked about these clubs, these like eating clubs. Like, what is that? And I know it's unique to Princeton.
Mhm. Okay, yeah. So. I think a lot of people were like saying the singular, the eating club. There's not just one eating club. It's like, so it's not like as if everyone has to go to this one club and eat together, but as upperclassmen, instead of eating at like a dining hall or something, you eat in like basically these frats. They're not frats, they're called eating clubs, but they're also co-ed, so it's like boys and girls. And the whole thing with that is kind of like just this community for like eating, and then also they're the people that throw like all the parties on the weekends. So yeah, the eating clubs really great. Basically, they're just frats. Yeah. Yeah. Let me go ahead and
We've got
look at
time
some
for
of
about
these.
another couple questions, Isaac.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, I think we have like 5 minutes left. Okay. Ooh, let's see. Uh, let's see. I see like a lot of people kind of just like asking like, why did I choose to do what I did, or like what I do, and like how was I like so like how did I like do a bunch of stuff in high school and all that. I think really that boils down to like one, I think everyone can do to that like degree, like focusing on what it is that you want to do and then kind of going after that. Um, and then I also like I'm still struggling, like, okay, do I really want to like try to go to medical school? Um, but once you kind of figure that out, it's not necessarily impossible. Like I think the biggest thing is kind of having this like expanded vision of yourself. Um, if that makes sense. Ooh, number one piece of advice that I would give to someone applying for any college right now. Okay. Um, for number one piece of advice, I would say start your essays early. That's really important because the last thing you want to do is it's around Christmas time. And instead of like celebrating Christmas with your family, you have to just like bang out a bunch of different essays. Um, that and doing like your research on the college, like what college you want to go to. Don't necessarily think like, oh, this one's ranked like number one on the US news. I want to go to that one. Um, so really see like, oh, okay, can I see myself there for 4 years? Um, is the workload more or less stressful than high school? The workload is definitely more. Like I know that's a considerable difference. It's very, it seems impossible at some points, but then like you do a little bit of it and you realize, oh wait, like I can do this. So there are definitely those moments where you're like, man, I'm absolutely cooked, like fried, all of it. But no, it all kind of comes back to being okay in the end. So far, I mean, I have not been like so in the trenches that like I have to like completely skip out on an assignment. Um, but yeah, like it's definitely more stressful, but you become better as you progress, and then you can handle that stress. So definitely an adjustment for sure, but one that is possible to do. What got me interested in neuroscience? I was always kind of interested in the brain. And like, how I'm talking to you guys about all this like motivational stuff. Like, I wonder what that does to like our brain chemistry, our brain, like the synaptic connections and all of that stuff. So I think that was kind of a reason to go into neuroscience. And then also like the neuroscience at Princeton itself, the different labs that they have are really interesting to me. Um, so yeah, I was always kind of considering that, especially like going on the pre-med track because there's like overlap there. Um,
Hey, Isaac, not to interrupt, but we've got just a couple
yeah.
minutes. I wanted you to be able to
Oh,
share
gotcha.
your email with the
Oh,
kids because they're in their class and they can take a picture of it. And again, Isaac is a volunteer at Southwest, and so if y'all have other questions that he wasn't able to answer, by all means, please shoot him an email. Um, and he'll try to get to those as he can. He's busy. But again, thank you, Isaac. Appreciate your time. We know that you're busy, and I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So we appreciate it.
no, yeah, for sure. Definitely appreciate it, Mr. Irby. And like everybody, like you guys can send me any question you want. I'll try my best to answer. I can't promise that I'll answer like very fast, but I'll try. So definitely reach out. And yeah, I appreciate all of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully this is better than doing like a random Google form in CCR.
You remember those. All right. Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to go ahead and conclude the webinar right here.